pivot for the team. Now on the Sage, that responsibility is going to likely fall into Glance's hands.
And we are into it. Icebox, the first map of X10 versus G2. A chance to face off against Cloud9 or an early lower bracket awaiting them.
And already we're seeing a big setup here over towards the A site out of G2. Very likely Baby TZ might just put down an early wall here, expecting a lot of pressure coming through from the team. And all eyes on Mary, I think, early on here. See what she can accomplish on this chamber for her. She used to be the baiter on the team, having to play a Sage, wait for the team to have to show up, but now full steam ahead for her and Giuliano on the Raze.
With this bait, it will just be the cat on in. Mary not able to find that initial shot. Alyssa will drop her down, and maybe TZ actually going for more aggression. X10 picks 2 up immediately, and G2 has no response. They're zoned by the Sage wall and forced to fall away.
Yeah, they may be getting a little greedy. They were trying to push past the Sage wall. Yeah, they were able to break it, but got a little ahead of themselves off of that. But this is that mid lurk I was talking about. Not really a lurk when the whole team is around it, but you can see Glance very much in the front here. No Viper wall or any setup for them when they do work into this B site, and you have to be concerned about Muffin, an excellent player over here for X10, but gets caught on the timing. Glance and Petra pick up a couple, and the round immediately back in G2's hands.
And now trouble for X10. It's all Glance. Finds the third. Alyssa alone, trapped in mid, and G2 has no awareness. A slow orb down for the moment. And that spike is ticking. Mimi spots her. Alyssa will find the first. A second onto the headshot. She needs just one more glance. Already huge in this round, and now holding down, hiding behind that wall. She has the time on her side, and she's got the shot too.
Yeah, kick it off with a 4K out of Glance. You can hear the G2 goes in chance in the crowd. A little bit of home field advantage there maybe for the squad, and Glance showing up in a big way here.
And this is where G2 feels comfortable. That core 3 has been waiting years to get back to land. This is their element.
It absolutely is for them. You know, we were sort of going back, you know, this team that sort of first played together, the 3-player core. It's back in 2015. And we actually saw Baby TZ dropped a tweet where she watched that core of G2 play back in 2019, which is just unreal.
She was a fan back then, and now she'll have to take them down if they want to stay alive in this upper bracket. Towards B, this time G2 will head more akin to their normal style with this composition. I think the biggest difference, not having that Sova to drone out buff, but she will be traded that.
Definitely will be. Already just sort of blitzing on over here. I think X10 maybe a little bit slow to get the rotations on through. Lots of tools, but no wall on Mimi does make things a little bit more difficult without having sort of the rifles to spam through the Viper smokes, though I think they can play this a little bit more patiently, maybe bring down that Viper utility and play these longer range fights.
Very forward, has this rendezvous set up, but Giuliano's nade just finds one, and G2 is cleaning up. Holly will do a little bit more damage, but this should just be a formality. That is, unless Alyssa can get a little bit cheeky. 1 versus 2 now. Another go. Try to. At this clutch, her position very much noted, and G2 playing this one together. Both members healthy, so a difficult task, but even another kill here could put her in the right direction. Up top holds Giuliano, and Alyssa not quite ready for that one.
Absolutely no chance you're ready to clear up that high on that one. And getting a little extra shots in the Killjoy turrets. You know, the Killjoy turrets, not big fans of that here in the VCT.
No.
But G2 already with a good start to kick things off here. And of course, this is a G2 team that was so incredibly dominant in EMEA for so long, the last couple of years in Game Changers, and we're finally dethroned on this map of Icebox, losing in that Game 5 up against Guild, which is a completely different story to X10, who finally got their chance to make it here.
Yeah, now here they go again on Icebox with this brand new composition. Giuliano will have the onus put on her with that Spectre in hand. Everyone else just stuck down to the pistols. Don't want to enter too much into this one, as X10 will just hold passive with these compositions, with the Killjoy. You're relying on letting your opponent scale into you.
Yeah, the one concern I have with the Killjoy here and the utility being set up on this A site is there's a Raze on the opposite side. Raze not a super popular pick on this map, but so effective at just annihilating Killjoy utility. The paint shell is just a little bit too distant there, so you can see the alarm bot is still going to be there. Turret still up as well as a couple of Molotovs. Just guard the entrances towards the site, the wall as well. So G2 going to have to slowly work their way, bait out that utility before fully committing, and the Viper wall comes down to signal the hit.
They do still have that alarm bot for contact, and Alyssa playing close. Stall utility is good, and there's even a dart to hold G2 at bay, but they're just waiting for all of this to drop. Their final opportunity to come. Getting a spike plant, even with these pistols, would be great. And for X10, On this setup, their goal is to stay away from that retake, to deny early. Up top, Alarmbot will make contact, and Alyssa, she's got the angle. 2 frags picked up, and a pretty simple cleanup on the site. Lance is trying to work another one of these lurks, but very aware is Polly on the other side, and support available there by Baby TZ. Lance will find one, though. Has Polly isolated, but would have to push her own Molly to take that duel, which is 35 HP, and support on the way. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, really solid lockdown there out of X10. Again, the fact that the info utility was there, they could get the vulnerable and the alarm as well, just sets everything up for success on that site. Alyssa already off to a good start with the lockdown coming online as well. And you can notice actually a couple of players here on X10 just with the light armor for the next round. But in terms of how this one played out, just the absolute lockdown, the awareness that Glance is going to be that late round pivot for G, working in through mid. X10 have very clearly done their homework, come in prepared against this G2.
Alyssa will have the lockdown in this round, so you can lean a little bit more to playing that retake on the A site. Use that ult to find a little bit more, but you do have lots of tools to contend with that raise in the composition. And this time they will scale fast towards A. This is a big difference from their previous comp, where they are a very heavy B team on their attack. Yeah,
when you're playing the sort of Jet as the duelist and playing a lot of the info around mid with the Killjoy, you can definitely work into that B site a little bit easier. But with this raise, I think it allows you to clear back 410. You can do a lot of things. The Fade, Haunt, or C's coming out as well. And already Giuliano very far forward here and alone.
And Alyssa's kind of stuck here. She'll be slow orbed off everyone from X10 in these backlines, and Glance has that Viper's Pit. Mary will try and hold the line, and dropping from above is Giuliano, but Baby Bay plucks her from the sky. 3 versus 3, the pit holds, the wall is up, and X10 is slow on this rotate.
Baby TZ just sort of stuck on this site at the moment, was walled off, so had a little bit of protection, but intelligent to hold time, get the rest of her team to rotate over on here. They have the Viper wall to make things a little bit easier, but face checking in towards Glance. You can see the gun, but no, the kills aren't there for Glance. The Viper Pit is going to be coming down, and Mimi from backside finds 3, turns it around with Petra on the trade. G2 secure the round.
A near tragedy for G2, but you can see in that round the highlight of this compositional change. If you're X10, you invest so much time into prepping for that Killjoy comp, and now G2 is throwing you these consistent, faster A pieces with that deep raised dive. It can really be tough to come back from that.
Definitely can be, and especially like with Giuliano being able to clear so much over towards that A site, just open things up, even though there was a Viper wall sort of isolating her from the rest of the team. Her finding the opening kills, getting the Viper Pit down onto the ground, made playing out the rest of that round so much simpler for the team. And it doesn't look like we're going to see a big change from X10 coming into this round. Killjoy again going to be set up over towards A. Of course, this is going to be a bit of a thrifty round for X10, but they're going to have to find some way of dealing with this raise, maybe switching up some placements of the Killjoy utility so that it's not so easily cleared.
Muffin will hold close, has a rendezvous to get out, but can't find that initial shot, so Polly is just holding alone towards back yellow. G2 very committed to the scale into B, but after losing a member, things could get a bit interesting. Roomba up, but that orb will kind of segment G2 off on this end. They have to clear back yellow, and they cannot get Polly out of this position. She'll make the decision to leave herself, but still, G2 sit at a man disadvantage.
Polly finding 2 big kills, but here come G2. Mary on the attack, getting tagged through the Viper wall. Somehow is able to reclaim and get back towards yellow. Not spammed easily out through that one. The Sage wall is going to come up, and that's going to block out the shock darts too. So very easy to get that plant down, and X10 unable to deny for now.
Ginny on the shot, but G2 just wants to bite. Petra swings forward, grabs 3, and Mary is there for the last. A great realization of G2 needing to put onus on themselves and take those forward duels.
This is a very different looking G2 than the way they have played their Icebox previously. We've talked about their compositional difference, but just in terms of previously how they really slow worked through mid, you'd see a lot more of these mid-round rotations off of what Mimi was able to accomplish in mid. Instead, this G2 with the raise is just much more about those full-on executes. It's been effective here so far, but they've got a lot of tools on the opposite side for X10 to deal with.
X10 now will be calling that tactical timeout, getting Obi into the mix. This is a team that has been around for a while in APAC, but they have always been second fiddle. They finally make it here. They win in the one that counts. They qualify to the international event, but for the majority of their squad, there's a lot of inexperience still. They have 2 members who have been in these situations many a time, and Ginny in particular, their IGL, she's who I'm looking towards in this timeout.
Absolutely. Ginny going to be calling the shots for the team, and this has been a player that's been around for so long in the TAC F FPS scene. She's played at super high levels on mixed rosters in both CSGO at the start and Valorant, IGLing for them as well, really making an impact wherever she goes.
And their coach as well, Obi, he was with that X10 roster that we saw early in 2021 qualifying actually here to Berlin and as well to some of those first lands. Now he's the coach of this team. Now he's leading a new X10, this X10 roster of Sapphire into the mix. So we'll have to see if those words can turn anything around. Getting more rounds on this defense is going to be pivotal for X10.
And in terms of X10 coming into this round, right, you have the Viper's pit up, you have the Killjoy ult there as well. The setup for them has just been Viper chamber towards B, the other three around A with a relatively soft mid presence. They're not really tempting that too much. So I was maybe expecting to see the Viper work over towards A in a round like this, but instead it will just be on B, maybe a reactive ult there if you hear some stuff around that. But Giuliano instantly on top of two, maybe to counteract an early Viper's pit.
Oh, Giuliano, there's a player just below her. She does have that awareness. Nade, I think that's actually just to break that trademark there, but isn't able to take it down. And now Mary is pushed so deep, but I think she thought she finished that food. Ginny is still alive. She'll find that trade back, and now G2 in dire straits. They've lost all their control of mid with Ginny redroning.
Yeah, it's crazy because it seemed like G2 had the read in the timeout of, hey, they're not really playing mid too aggressively. Mary had that huge walk up all the way into pallet, but the X10 frontline there just locking it down, and now G2 make this call. We work into B because we have the Viper's wall to play off of, and Glance finds that opening kill. That's unreal to start this attack off for G2.
She'll push deeper as well through her own orb, trying to take a duel here. Polly is down to low HP. That spike is now planted, but Glance is on a bit of an island. The forward wall, so G2 can stay on the site for this post.
That's the whole idea, right? We're down in numbers, so we don't want to play that sort of, shooting gallery from back yellow. It all comes down to Glance, this first point of contact for G2, but still chances to trade with Mimi lining up and now calling Glance out as the lockdown comes in.
They're forced to concede that space, and Baby TZ a well-timed swing onto Petra. Two less standing. Mimi and Glance, they have the time on their side. A Sage Wall is up, a tap on the spike, but no one holding Alyssa. She's gonna try and stick this one down. The swing is there, but she's gotten it half. It's only Glance, but she's found three, trying to find something more, but Mimi just cannot do it.
The 3K not enough, and it's Alyssa to find that round win out for the team. Coming down to the wire on that, secures the op for the squad as well, and X10 only had to commit the lockdown off that. Alyssa gets 3 kills afterwards, or 2 kills, and the end of the defuse. So that one already halfway to returning. What a round from X10.
A huge one for them. Baby TZ starting to show some of that value with Alyssa as well, making that retake a reality. We'll have to see now if they can convert that into consistency. Muffin, a player who has been really dominant for X10 regionally, struggling thus far in this map, but now that operator in her hands.
Let's play.
You can see the crowd trying to get back on G2's side here, and G2 not concerned about that B site anymore. Glance is working that mid lurk, so when things get a little bit dicey for G2, returning to some of the trends that we've seen from them previously, already walking all the way down tube, and no one's actually played Kitchen just yet, so Glance breaking this is going to cause some chaos in the minds of X10. Their 2 B players have pushed into B main, but realistically, G2 could be almost anywhere, pushed back on towards the back of B site or towards X10 spawn.
I actually really like this call from X10. Instead of re-rotating to clear towards Kitchen, towards their spawn, they have a player hold their flank and go for a double flank. If G2 doesn't go fast, there'll be 2 players in their backline.
I think they may be able to spot the spike here. You can see Polly pushed all the way garage. If the spike is on the left side of the cans, they would see that and could instantly sort of play back, guard that.
Did.
Polly gets the kill. That is massive, and Giuliano flies into the back lines, gets that opening frag, and wants a little bit more, but Baby TZ locks her down.
And the objective has been lost. There's no sight of it for G2. They've gone too fast on this execute, and now they have to work all the way back through their spawn, but they're making it happen. Glance and Mary, both for 1. It comes down to this pinch, and there's a Viper's pit for Polly. She'll pop it straight onto the spike. An operator holding on that other angle, and only 20 seconds for G2. This is a catastrophe.
I mean, you have to sprint into it, but there's an operator outside the pit. How are you going to expect that? Muffin and Polly get the double flank option, spot the spike, and it explodes the round for G2.
And that is the identity of this composition. G2 is aware of it. They used to play that very same style on their defense, heavily committing to those double flanks in the late round.
Yeah, when you don't have that sort of dive ability, the jet dash, the raised satchels or anything like that, it's really important to open up other opportunities to get into a site. That's exactly what they were going to do there. If they're not spotting out the spike, those two players could realistically work together, trade out any single flank watcher from G2. So G2 rewinding the clock a couple of rounds now here. It's going to be another mid look, likely a couple of satchels to work towards top two with the Sheriffs. It's actually going to be under tube right off the bat. They know there's early B main pressure, so they're trying to sneak their way onto the site. And Giuliano opens it up with the Sheriff. What is that?
Muffin needs to survive back yellow. She's the only force remaining on this site. She'll find one. No say teleport to get out, but does it matter? Muffin has found a second. They're walling out in the open. G2 trying to pinch onto her, and Mimi will find the shot. Back to a 3v3. Now that op can be recovered.
Really strange wall from Mimi. Look how deep that is on the site, sort of blocking in any players from Orange working on towards there. Is able to get the resurrection back yellow too, and very aware that Alyssa's going to try and swing around the side.
This round, no flank for X10, but they do have the res. However, none of those players available, and G2 is holding these lines so deep. Giuliano, she's received a gift, and she is making use of it. One shot connecting the slow orb down, and Baby TZ just has to swing into this line, and somehow she'll still get the kill.
It's still just two Sheriffs.
And there's a Sage. Well, they need to spam it so quickly. Baby TZ will get this to half. The mollies are there. The Wally's still up. Glance needs to stop the shield jiggle. In and out knows the time is on her side, but Ginny, she's attempted to stick. It will not happen. Glance somehow makes it happen for G2.
Oh my god, they still only had two Sheriffs at the end, even with all of those kills. It is Glance to show up here. 9 kills already. We were wondering how the sort of compositional switch up was going to work. It has done some favors here for Glance. Has been able to find so many openings in the late round, those mid plays as well. And you can see the frustration on X10 in the clutch. They knew they could have had that.
And not only is that a round loss, they're back down to the eco here. Muffin does have that tour de force. She was the only one who made that round as close as it was previous, but G2 won't head into her. Instead, they play the slower look towards A as X10 does look to creep up here.
This is finally a new way of playing, I feel like, for X10, because they've been doing sort of the same thing a lot over and over in these rounds, really trying to test it with that early A push on the Thrifty. But I think one more time, Glance has just unlocked this ability of no one's actually going to watch me in kitchen. I can break that, and again, the chaos, the uncertainty for X10 now weighing on them as Baby TZ just finds a kill in A. I mean, you can rely on a player like that. That is impressive.
And Mary wants to go hunting for more. The youngest player in this tournament put on a role that enables her, and they're putting on a show. Glance 2 of her own. This is a pretty simple anti-eco. Muffin is still alive, though. How's that all? Maybe she can get something here in the 1v4.
All right, the coping's coming in strong here. This is a good-looking G2. And yeah, that operator can do a lot of things, but not when Giuliano is on the hunt. Look at her, ready and wait. She can hear the footsteps of Muffin, knows exactly what's going on. Petra's not even getting greedy, right? She's gonna swing under tube as soon as Giuliano makes contact. You're not gonna do anything, and Giuliano got a little bit hungry. Had to go for that swing around there and wrap up the round for G2.
Yeah, that's the coordination for G2. The core of this team playing together for years and showing it here. X10 back on the bye, but the loss of that Thrifty is going to have big implications for the rest of the half. This really is a must-win round for them.
It absolutely is, and oh, they're finally doing something different. Okay, I was waiting for this because G2 really had just sort of unlocked how X10 were playing the map, but finally we see the switch ups. This Killjoy turret in kitchen, it's gonna be able to block off both tube and under tube, which G2 have sort of done both, right? With the scan, It actually sees out from Snowpile. That's a really good switch up for them. Does make their A-hold a little bit lighter, but with this alarm bot going down pallet too, it shuts down really any of those mid lurks that Glance has been going for.
G2, though, actually not putting any emphasis on mid this round. Instead, they're just heading straight for an A hit here. We'll have to see if the changes for X10 are enough to hold this site.
Well, that's the thing, is it's just one molly that instantly gets broken. I guess a Sage Wall could come into play. Baby TZ hasn't locked that in just yet, but in terms of actual fighting power on this site, it's much weaker than previously.
Polly's been seen. She could be in trouble here. Orb to get out, but up top is Mary taken down. Sees for the trade on a spam through the smoke. So 4 versus 4. And Glance again on this lurk. Now they have to set the alarm bells ringing. Someone has to contend with this. This should weaken the hold towards F.
But notice, as this res comes through, Ginny is playing much more over towards screens. Baby TZ is able to find one and get that res off. So a big swing, and also Viper utility still up on it. It's going to be hard for G2 to scale.
Another layer to this lurk. Glance keeps pressuring in mid. Ginny actually walking all the way around. There could be backstabs on backstabs in that area of the map, but it's relying on X10 living in the backlines of this site, because Glance could beat the timing. If she wins against Alyssa, she has this site cracked open. It's Polly alone. It's Petra for 3. And it's Ginny in the backside. Glance has this pit up. A dart will go in. Does it spot her? Not quite. He needs this kill now and we'll be able to grab it now. Just Petra in close and Ginny 4-2. The veteran claims the round for X10.
Oh, what a hero play coming through from Ginny to wrap it up. And not just that, like, respect to Ginny for winning that 1 versus 2 right there before Muffin was going to get there. But the call, right, you have 3 rounds left in the half. You've been doing the same thing every single round. Not just the decision we're going to put Killjoy turret in kitchen, but also Ginny comes around. So once that's broken, you instantly have a drone following up. That's Ginny herself making that happen, being very aware of the mid lurk. And yes, it does fall apart as the G2 players just so good. Sometimes you're going to win out in those fights, but I love the extra layers, the switch up coming through on the fly with so little time left in the half.
Huge round for them, and that is even despite Petra's heroics, almost single-handedly making that round happen. For X10 now, looks like there will be another bit of a pause coming through to consider the options.
G2, okay, look, they did the same thing for 9 rounds. All of a sudden, they've switched up the setup. Let's come in with a different plan. Even though, like, I think G2 did react pretty well within it, right? You still have Glance breaking. Instead of a tripwire, it's going to be a turret in kitchen, but knowing, hey, if Ginny's playing more of a float, could we actually just burst execute onto that A site a little bit quicker,
Sure.
right? That Killjoy previously had been really anchored down on the A site. Now, she actually has to play Pallet or Boiler to stay in range of her turret, or that's going to go offline and you lose that protection. So you almost know the location of the Killjoy because of the range limitations of her utility. That's something you don't have to really consider when a chamber's on the mix.
Yeah, I think the kind of compositional choices on this map kind of come down to what you're able to access with your composition. And here, without the Sova, it makes it very hard to access those just straight-up B main hits, which means G2 has been consistently forced into these A hits or the mid-splits and lurks, which X10 seems to have a good read on.
Seems like another mid-split here for Giuliano, working up on top of 2, but you have to keep in mind, lockdown is ready for Alyssa, so executing onto the B site, the post plant does get a little bit tricky when that lockdown comes into play. Ginny forced perhaps to use the early drone, but nah, she wants to take the fight first.
As the information, a tag there is big. Mary might just have to concede this space or risk sticking around in the danger area. Alyssa on the re-clear. Mary is now trapped out in the open unless she can teleport out of this one. And X10 is trying to hunt her, but there's a timing here. Mary's made it past, not quite. Ginny on the turn, Giuliano on the trade. That's her up top of Tube. And now this is going to be a split. Again, pressure is with Muffin. She's been here before last time. A 2K to keep her team in the round, but G2 cancel.
Yeah, they're just going to run away. I think Muffin had already used the teleport. 15 seconds on that cooldown was low, but not. They don't even want to deal with that operator at all.
With Alyssa dead, mid-pressure here is huge for X10.
It absolutely is. No utility to sort of guard that one out, but G2 aren't trying to activate a lurk or anything like that. Instead, just instantly bursting out onto this A site once the utility is going to come in. Mimi has that ult ready to go, and on the zipline, you can't kill Baby TZ, but they're able to find that kill behind the box regardless. Polly will be cleared on through. G2 very diligent working into this A site.
Has to be Ginny again. Practically full utility bar that drone in an isolated duel, but it's a wall bang. Not gonna convert, hard pressed to commit to this retake. That operator in the hands of Muffin, an early kill is really needed to activate this.
I just don't know if it can actually happen here. Not a ton of credits, 250, 300 on Muffin. Yeah, you don't want to commit the ultimate here for Ginny. The operator has to be saved. So X10 gonna back on out of that one, live to fight another day. And they're gonna be using these last few seconds to again figure out what can we do in this final round to bring it within 2 before the half.
And this game has been a lot about Giuliano and what she does. She's one of the few IGLs who plays on that dive role.
Oh, yeah.
And in this Raze composition, it's very much changed the style with her leading from the front so often with these early pushes into mid.
Yeah, she had previously been a jet player on this map, so had some of those abilities, but I think especially when they're doing those A hits, right? With it's instantly the paint shells and then double satchelating onto the site, sometimes leaving her team a little bit in the dust. Petra got involved a little bit on this one too, you gotta give her credit there, but I think Giuliano really has been the main switch for G2 in terms of their actual side executes.
It definitely has been. Last round of the half now. Some massive ultimates online for X10. That Viper's Pit, Polly. I want to put this one early towards A. She's buying Shorty as the secondary there.
X10 have nothing in kitchen, by the way. Instead, maybe Muffin is going to try to push down Tube. That could be an idea. Just fight your way out because you have the Viper's Pit on A, so maybe expecting G2 to try and get some pressure down in mid off this. The operator is going to go for that very late peek here.
Muffin has never played here before, but Mary is ready regardless. A huge opening kill for her. Gonna try and reclaim the space off of the wall. Baby TZ makes it across off of that. But G2 is fine to stay slow now with their player advantage.
And now, because you've burned that wall in mid, right, you have no information in kitchen, so you feel like maybe you have to block that off. You don't have that as an option when you're retaking a site, right, to throw that up, try to get at least a half stick, maybe even a full defuse, whatnot, block away any sort of utility. And it means that their B hold is very, very soft at the moment. Baby TZ, the only player here to do anything.
And it's a good awareness of the setup of X10. This chamber trademark, when you're putting that turret in mid, is almost always here. And with the chamber dead, that opens up lots of opportunities towards B.
What is this, though? Giuliano is the new mid lurk for G2. No paint shells, I think. They just decided, hey, we don't need the satchels to get in there, so we're going to use her as that thorn in the side of X10. Giuliano killing her opposite IGL. Just break open this round for G2.
And G2 has been loving this deep wall. With that lurk activated, they hold so much space. And Mary is posted on the line. Another shot connected with that operator. Alyssa, the last standing. X10 is locked out of this one. A showstopper on top of it all. And Mimi will close things out. A prime gaming flawless to end.
Oh yeah, so good out of G2, just pivoting so quickly, the mid lurk from Giuliano. But credit throughout this half to Glance stepping in to that mid lurk role for the team. A big switch for G2 that looked oh so good.
Yeah, a lot of pivots have been made for this team heading into this match, and it all seems like it's working. Maybe a bit of a slower start for Mary, but now she is farming, finding some massive impact kills. And for X10, it is going to be a tough task to come back in this second half. But to reflect on the first and get us ready for the rest of the game, got the desk.
Very much, Mimi and Ender. 8-4, what a recovery there from G2 towards the end. And Kakuka, do you feel like they've answered those questions when it comes to redemption, why they chose this map, and what are you thinking right now of G2's performance?
So there are many things that I've saw here from G2 that made me think that they're still testing. Of course, we talk about they've had some time, they've had a month to bring this together, but I still feel that it's a little bit rookie. And it's actually, for example, in that last round where we saw Giuliano going on that trail, is the whole old habits that bring it in. I wanted to take a look at this round and round number 7 because we saw something that Giuliano was doing over and over again, and it's trying to be that entry, trying to create that space with that raise. But even though she gets the first kill just thanks to the showstopper, she doesn't manage to get anything else. And the response of the rest of the team is being in places where they're not used to be. The control over the map is also given completely to Extend that already know where the spike is, also got the kill onto Mimi, and now have all the space and the time in the round to play with it.
Yeah, I think that was super cool. I feel like X10 definitely reacted in a way, then G2 kind of had to do something, and it really felt kind of scrambled, kind of like what you said, that they kind of reacted in a way that didn't play to their favor.
Well, let's talk about one of the bigger changes we saw. It is Mary. They've opted to bring in the chamber instead of the killjoy. Of course, Mimi is an incredible killjoy player. Athena, what are you expecting from Mary? What would you like to see from this defense change?
Yeah, I mean, the change from Mimi off of killjoy, Mimi playing killjoy is like super defensive, and especially in Icebox, you need that kind of staple sentinel on that site to be able to hold it down.
A much Sue, yeah, 8-4 at the half here. G2 now a pivotal pistol round to close this one out.
Definitely is going to be for them, and interesting setup I'm seeing out of G2 with both Giuliano and Mary over towards B long. I was wondering, like, actually Mary did jump up onto yellow. 2 players on top yellow. When was the last time you saw that?
The ancient era when we still saw like Jet combined with a second duelist, or even when we saw Omen on this map. I don't know.
Those were dark times. The Jet plus Omen on this one. Back when people thought Viper was completely troll. But is Baby TZ actually going to take first contact here on the Sage, getting chunked instantly? maybe TC's got a wall. You don't want to lose that. That's like the most important piece of utility when trying to execute over towards B, so that one's going to sting.
Yeah, and Nadesu was talking about Mary's confidence. This may be her first real chamber game in an official with G2, but she's looking pretty solid here. Already a dink, she'll stick by for a little bit longer, and the second player will fall off too, but now they have so much utility to stall this out. This is the value of the Raze.
Oh, the Viper Wall does just instantly come down here. I was wondering, are they actually going to execute in? You can see the Killjoy Molly comes to try and clear back yellow as well. That's one of the hardest things to do here when you're playing a no duelist comp here on this map, is actually getting the space to fight back yellow. So using the utility does cost you some in terms of post plant, but does make that a little bit easier. But they're just bailing out of B entirely.
Yeah, and it's interesting as well. This is one of the few maps where you oftentimes do see that the Fade Rays separated out from each other, playing more individual setups, and that wall for Mimi now.
That's a fantastic wall.
It's so well timed. 40 seconds for that to decay. They'll have to break it or all funneled through 410. There's a molly to go down as well. There is so much stall
There's
from
a paint
G2,
shell too from
and they
Giuliano.
have to push straight through. This is a death drop. 10 seconds left for X10. They have a wall of their own, but can they get past Mimi? Not yet. 10 on the clock. The plant not down, and Ginny dead to rights. 9-4 as G2 take their pistol.
Yeah, G2 just read them like a book right there. Got the players over towards that A site and a perfect wall. No chance for that one to go down when it's just like, maybe if you have rifles as X10, it's a little easier because you can bust it down quickly, but you have to go for the reload on 3-4 players after trying to break that one. Even if the kills hadn't come through, the util was going to be there. G2 just carve up X10, now up to 9 here.
And X10 going for a lean towards A here on their eco. They're one of the teams that play with the Killjoy that actually often have favors this side of the map. Pretty uncommon with this comp.
Yeah, you know, it's one of those things where if you're able to work in towards that B site, that's maybe a little bit easier to take. But when you have to take A, it's really hard to get past this Viper Wall. You don't have a flash or anything to push you on past there. Not that flashes are necessarily mandatory on this map, but definitely help when getting past this Viper Wall on the A site.
And that initial setup in mid, pretty cool for G2, but Glance, I'd say pretty cool as well. 3 kills for her.
Yeah, Glance is having a very nice time of things. G2 fans in the crowd have to be happy off of that one. And, you know, Glance finds 3 kills, you know, against the Pistols right there. But all game long, you can see 17-8 has been looking real good, especially on that attacking side.
Yeah, G2 is one of those teams, well, they have the stars, they have Juliana, they have Mary. It does not always matter if they're having a great game because the supportive line of this team is fantastic.
Yeah, Juliana's just chilling. Honestly, last round with her, or pistol round rather, her boosted on yellow with Mary, her job was just to break the Sova drone so that you wouldn't actually spot Mary. Now, Mary fought the player that peeked deep back B main, but it's so interesting seeing how Mary has taken so much more of a forefront for this team when previously she's been locking in the Sage.
And look at that aggression. Wow. G2 is just full sending it into spawn. Mary's hitting a shot with her headhunter, and now X10 is pinched. They're trapped towards B. They're forced to commit to the site.
Yeah, and Mary's able to get the one in B main as well. Like, there's nowhere to go. Petra is stuck under bottom side here too. You're never ready for her to be swinging you on this position. Mary is revealed, and Polly's able to clear here, but there's the stinger in the back. Petra finds one, and it's all chaos here. How do you even plant a spike?
But G2 have a double flank. They're making their way back around, and they've dropped into spawn too. Juliana for 1, and Polly down. No heroics for her this time. A 10th round for G2.
Hold on. Giuliano pushed A main, right? She was one of the players that was sprinting up belt, and then she's swinging you Snowman too and killing you there. She's just sprinting around the map, an absolute marathon runner here for G2.
The Juliana World Tour. Berlin the first stop. Let's see where she's stopping next.
Oh yeah. Hey, that's actually the thing, right? G2, sort of, you do have a little bit of that home field advantage. Didn't have to really fly in here necessarily. Maybe Mary had to.
I think she was boot camping before.
She was boot camping before, that's
yeah.
true. She was talking to us and said that, yeah, she's been with the team a whole lot of times, so not necessarily new for her, but a stage like this definitely is.
They've got the spray paint on the sidewalk buff. For those of you not with us at the LEC studio here, there is an entire line from the S-Spawn station all the way to the studio with spray paint saying this is Gozen's home.
Yeah, it's like the line of breadcrumbs, right, that you follow, and then, oh, you got Valorant at the very end. That's better than a house full of candy.
For Hansel and Gretel,
yeah,
I'd say.
You gotta love that. I don't remember that one ending very well, but perhaps
I like this
for
ending
G2,
better.
this one could be good for them. The House of Gozen, they've been saying. It's a little bit fun, and honestly, like the confidence from this team too, in interviews, backstage as well, sort of smile and be like, yeah, you know, we changed things up on a couple of maps already. Map 1 looking real strong.
All right, I want you to cope for me
for
a bit about X10. What's their way back in?
Well, they've slayed Titans before, right?
They have done
Look,
that.
they knocked down Alter Ego today. If they were able to beat G2, it would be C9 later, so you have to get through a couple of tournament favorites. But
That's an outcome, not a route. They
that's
need
not a
actionable
solution.
feedback here.
Okay, I'm gonna work on some action here. They've got 5 seconds left in the timeout. I would say in this round here, you almost need to go for a force buy, right? Otherwise, G2 get up to 12, but their actual money situation is terrible. I don't think they're going to go for this one at all. If anything, I would have said, let's like lock in a couple of shorties here and try to see if we can get onto a site, maybe like one sheriff, a couple of shorties, and then you play inside the Viper's pit. That could be a way for them, but I think with the way G2 have been fighting forward, I mean, look at that. Like the paint shells instantly with the slorb as well. The setup is there, so you can't actually quickly get out into A main.
And I think the way that G2 is playing around mid without a Killjoy has been really excellent. You constantly have Petra holding there with the cats in the haunt to re-clear space, but you've also had different players pivoting in and out. This time Mary's in position, last time it was Giuliano. It is a very flexible defensive-sided setup, which has meant X10 hasn't had a single round where they've managed to find a gap and exploit a lurk, which generally they're pretty good at.
And I think actually one of the biggest benefits you get with something like the Fade on this defensive side as opposed to a Sova is like the double cats as opposed to one.
She didn't even see
Yeah, I mean, Mary's just absolutely
Reasonable.
carving. You're not going to do anything against that. X10 just hiding back towards their spawn against that operator. But I think having like multiple cats to re-clear mid as opposed to just the one Sova drone does give you a lot of ways to counter out the lack of having that second sentinel.
Oh, Alyssa finding a nice shot onto Giuliano there, just stomping her way through A main. That's a rifle conceded something for X10 here.
I mean, you asked me to cope earlier. This would be the ultimate follow-through if they were able to make something happen with this, but I think time really working against them. 20 seconds left, still have to get
And
through
a
it.
Viper's pit. That is insult to injury.
And the wall again. Like Mimi is just so ready to lock this down in the last second. Polly is able to find one, but you're never going to be able to plant this spike. Alyssa, it's only a 1 versus 2, but again, the clock is gone. You can't get the plant off. The round is lost. G2 move on to map point.
G2 is here. G2 is home. 12-4 on their map choice. And for X10, this is looking dire. If there was a round to turn it around, maybe it was there, but now an unstoppable object they're against.
Last player standing. Spike down.
G2, one more round to close this out. Move on over to Sunny Breeze for map number 2. That would be X10's map pick, but X10 still with options here, just gearing up 5 players towards B main. Would maybe like to see them work late mid lurk into the equation. Interestingly enough, yeah, okay, Polly did end up throwing that mid orb, the Morb down there, so they do have the ability to rotate out.
Excuse me?
Yeah, Morbin back into mid on that one.
I don't know if I accept that one.
You don't accept, denied?
There are certain things you can shorten that make sense. I don't know if I'm on board for
Oh, look,
the
we've got the Sage Slow Orb, the Slorb.
Okay.
We've got the Chamber Operator, the Chop. I don't see why we can't have a Morb for the mid orb.
The council's gonna have to decide.
The council will decide, okay.
I'll send it up the chain of command. But for now, let's see if X10 can send something more to maybe build into a comeback here.
That's a segue.
Yeah, I segue.
All right, wall comes down. That's fairly committal, and Mimi takes first contact on the Sage. Instantly gonna fall back, right? G2, you have numbers advantage. Maybe even go for like a late. Actually, Mimi doesn't have that wall, so can't actually do that one. Just looking to take another fight. No, she is confident. Would you look at that?
3 left alive. Viper's pit is down, and the plant coming through. Baby TZ will be able to convert that one. So 3 versus 5. G2 on the retake. Resurrection for Mimi, but she's not looking to use it. She wants to fight into this pit.
And look, into this pit, you have a Seeker, you have a Seize, you have Paint Shells, you have a Haunt, like so much utility for G2 to flush X10 out of it.
There's the first layer. Seize nade. Shorty for Baby TZ, though. If these players get wounded by the pit, she could find so much value. 1 HP on glance, but Baby TZ is down just 2. They're deafened. They're dead. Mimi on her 3rd, and Ginny in main. She's trapped, and this one might just be over. G2, 13-4, make a statement in their opener on LAN.
What a start for this team here. Another day at the office. Locking things up for G2, giving the fans a little bit of a show here as well. And honestly, like, in such a cool fashion, right? Switching things up completely after losing Game 5 to Guild. The first time they lose in Game Changers on Icebox, they say, you know, forget that last comp. We're going to take our youngest player. We're going to put her on the chamber. No more Sage duty. And she and the rest of the team take over the server on map 1.
Yeah, some real innovation for G2. We've seen FPX